As we come on the air on this Tuesday morning, we are tracking some breaking news out of Maryland this morning. Live pictures coming in from Baltimore. That is where a frantic search is underway right now for at least 7 people after that cargo ship you see in the center of your screen hit a major bridge overnight, causing it to snap and partially collapse. This video here shows the moment that collapse happened. It appears the vessel hit one of the supports of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing the road to break apart in several places. Here it is again right there, and then that bridge just plunges right into the water below. The ship then catches fire, and you see that thick black smoke pouring out of it. This new photo shows what's left of the bridge this morning. We know several vehicles fell into the river below when this collapse happened. The water temperature at the time around 47 degrees. Here's a few more photos of the aftermath here. You can see part of that bridge is missing in the far end there. Right now it's too early to know how many people were affected by this, but the Baltimore Fire Department says rescue teams are currently looking for at least 7 people. Right before we came on the air, we learned that they have already pulled 2 people from the water. One of them was not seriously hurt. The other was taken to a local hospital in very serious condition. Here's an aerial view of the aftermath this morning. This bridge spans the Patapscos River. It serves as a major hub for the shipping on the East Coast. It opened back in 1977. That 984-foot container ship that hit the bridge this morning had just left the port of Baltimore when this happened. It was bound for Sri Lanka. Updates throughout the morning on this major breaker coming out of Baltimore, Maryland, right here on Come On News. And we are getting so many new photos into the live desk this morning showing the aftermath of this latest incident this morning. I want to show you 2 new photos that we haven't shown to you yet this morning, and they really give us an up-close view of the damage left behind to that bridge and that container ship that hit it overnight. You can see the bridge here essentially crushed the front portion of that ship. And then look at this one right here. Shipping containers left dangling off the side of that ship. That's one of the main reasons why this investigation is so dangerous this morning. We mentioned moments ago the National Transportation Safety Board is launching a GO team to investigate what happened. We do expect the feds to hold a briefing on their response, and that should happen sometime later on today.
The situation down in the South Sound's been rough.
And really tough out there. Yeah, the list of school closures and delays continues to grow this morning. It's been growing pretty quickly, too.
It started with 2, and now we're beyond our screen.
I was just thinking that. I was a little worried when we came on the air at 4:30 this morning, thinking, okay, we've had quite a bit of snow. There's only 2, but I think it's taken some time for some of these school district administrators to wake up, assess the conditions, and then make that determination about whether schools will be open or delayed or possibly closed today. A lot of these school closures and delays are on the peninsula and areas of the South Sound, 2 of the areas that have been hit hardest by the overnight snow and that wintry mix. So to see this full list here, grab your cell phone and point your phone's camera at that QR code on your screen. That's going to take you directly to this list on our website at comeonnews.com. So among the districts being closed today, Central Kitsap, Rochester, Tumwater, Griffin, Evergreen State College also closed, along with Tenino and also North Kitsap. I want to switch over here and show you a live picture, and this is coming in from Union, which is near Potlatch. This is courtesy of Hood Canal Communications. Can't quite blow this up, unfortunately. It's really been wet along parts of the peninsula for much of the morning. Quite a few areas seeing snow as well. And in that live picture there, you can see the waves crashing along the shoreline there. This was the view in Seattle overnight. This is from our sports director, Nico Tamurian, posting this new video of fresh flakes falling right outside Como Plaza, right here across from the Space Needle. Another Como employee posting this video out of North Seattle. It seems the snowflakes were a bit thicker in the city's Northgate area. Here's a look at just a small fraction of the photos and videos that viewers have been posting on social media today. Look at this one along the Hood Canal with that snow falling, really starting to come down overnight at around the 500 feet level there. One other thing we're tracking from the live desk this morning is the power outages. You can see that number at around 30,000. This is just for Puget Sound Energy. We know that some other utilities are also affected by outages this morning. You can see most of the outages for PSE are areas of the Hood Canal area, parts of the peninsula, and also down in the South Sound. Also breaking this morning, live pictures coming in from another big fire that we've been tracking from the live desk throughout the last couple of hours. This one at a school along 14th Avenue South in Skyway. This is just south of the Glen Acres Golf and Country Club. Back to those live pictures coming in from the scene. You can see off in the distance there some of those flames still shooting out of the roof. This is the old Southern Heights Elementary School, which closed a couple of years ago due to low enrollment. 2 academies have since opened at that site, Highline Virtual Academy and Innovation Heights Academy. New video posted by firefighters shows how that big response was to this 2-alarm fire here, with at least 2 ladder trucks shooting water on the flames because of how big that fire got. In this new photo here, you can actually see some of those flames shooting out of the building. At one point, this grew to 2 alarms, meaning more resources were called in to fight it. Here are several more photos posted by firefighters from the scene. We're told that this is in the roof over the gym of that building there. Firefighters say there's lots of lingering smoke in the area, so if you do live close, you should close your windows. So we're asking investigators a number of questions about this firefight this morning, including how it started and if anyone was hurt. Our Lee Stoll is trying to get some answers to those questions. She noticed an arson sign going up on the outside of that building this morning. We'll get a live update from her coming up at the top of the hour at 5 a.m. And from the live desk, the area where that fire broke out overnight is densely populated with lots of apartments and condo buildings nearby. So this really has been quite the scare for a lot of people this morning. This is some video that was sent in by a Como viewer, and it sort of tilts down here. As it does that, you can see all the fire trucks lining the streets, surrounded by all of those tall buildings there. Lots of flashing lights this morning. Another viewer replied to one of my posts on X this morning with this video here. I want to play it for you. You can see some of the ladders that firefighters set up to help rescue some people that were trapped because of this fire. See one of the firefighters going in, some of those neighbors peering out as well. Another thing you're going to notice as some of those witnesses sort of climb down those ladders is all the trees that are surrounding those buildings. The possibility of those catching fire because of this morning, certainly a big concern as well. And Kelly, from the live desk this morning, we're tracking breaking news as well as Seattle firefighters battle 2 other fires overnight. So 3 major ones in all just in the last few hours. First to South Seattle here, where a fire along 12th Avenue South has turned deadly. Seattle Fire says this fire broke out on the upper floor of a home not far from the Maplewood playfield. 1 person was rescued during that fire, but we're told they did not survive. We learned in the last hour firefighters did not find anyone inside a home in the city's Ballard neighborhood, where another fire broke out this morning. This one happened along 12th Avenue Northwest, several blocks north of Ballard High School. That fire is now out. Firefighters searched that home, and again, they didn't find anyone inside. Investigators are now trying to figure out what started that fire. And Kelly just dug up these stats from the fire department's annual report from last year. They show the number of fire responses for the department each year. See them highlighted in blue there. So last year, more than 28,000 fire responses for the Seattle Fire Department. That was up from the totals in 2022 and 2021, pretty significantly too.
The global outage we just mentioned impacting everything from airports to banks to 911 dispatch systems. Other services, including us here at Como, appears to stem at least partly from a software update issued by cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike.
CrowdStrike's CEO says the IT issue causing the global outage has now been identified and a fix has already been deployed this morning. They do insist this is not the result of a hack or any malicious action, but it is directly impacting Windows systems around the world, with laptops showing an error screen known as the blue screen of death. And I'm thinking about all those passengers that are dealing with kids too, or have kids with them, and the frustration of, dealing with a flight that's been impacted. Mo, I don't know if your photographer can show us the ticket counter once again, but I was just thinking as we were kind of showing this live view here, obviously passengers are really frustrated by the situation with their flights being impacted. But oftentimes when something like this happens, those ticket agents feel the brunt of that frustration. They know that passengers are really frustrated. They want backup arrangements to be made, and those ticket agents are really working hard trying to make backup arrangements as quickly as they can, as easy as they can, to sort of alleviate some of that frustration that passengers have. Again, we do want to remind you that if you do have a flight to catch out of SeaTac this morning, or any other local airport for that matter, keep checking with your airline just to see if any updates have been made. But because we know that airlines have been updating their processes throughout the morning as their systems have been coming back online, those that have been impacted anyway, and also get to the airport early. You're seeing some of these lines inside the airport this morning, those lines at the ticket counters, those lines at the gates, those lines outside with the departures drop-off area have really been forming and extending all morning long because of everything that we're dealing with, not just at SeaTac, not just across the U.S., but really around the globe. We've also checked with a number of local 911 dispatch centers this morning. So Valleycom, which dispatches calls for police and fire agencies in cities like Bellevue, Bothell, and Shoreline, among numerous others, told us it had a couple of systems go down overnight because of this global tech outage, but they also have backups. So their operations are essentially business as usual this morning, but their IT people still working on the situation, still trying to figure out if there's any sort of residual impact as a result of what happened overnight. All right, we're tracking some breaking news from the live desk right now as we come on the air on this Thursday morning. Police officers moving back into a pro-Palestinian encampment at UCLA this morning. We've been watching these live pictures for some time now, at least the last hour, and it appears those officers have already detained several protesters as they work to break down this encampment. Here's another vantage point from the air. Kind of shows the entire scene here, and at some point this has been zooming into some of that confrontations between police and those protesters. CNN crews have been reporting that dozens of protesters have already been detained, and then officers are taking those detained protesters to a bus that police staged in a parking lot roughly a mile or so from the campus. We do know that protesters have been attempting to reinforce the barricade while police in that protective gear were breaking through it. At some point, we've also heard some flashbangs going off. This right here is another live vantage point from the scene there, showing you some of those protesters. This is actually the second time that police have moved into that encampment over the last couple of hours. This new video here shows the moment they initially moved in overnight, but some protesters, angry over the ongoing war in Gaza, used umbrellas, forcing those officers to retreat and back out. This is some new video here shot from Royce Hall inside that encampment. You can see all the tents set up. Late last night, a dispersal order was issued for all of these protesters, but there wasn't a lot of movement in the crowd until police initially tried to move in. All of these new developments overnight come just one day after at least 15 people were hurt during these clashes between opposing groups of protesters. In some cases, protesters used metal barricades and plywood as weapons, even deployed bear spray and tear gas. Obviously, a developing situation we'll be watching throughout the morning here.
And this is a story that has been evolving all morning long.
Yeah, there overnight, as we've been seeing how it's played out across the country and other campuses as well this week. Steve, what's the very latest out of UCLA?
That has really been the focus this morning, and it's been an ever-evolving situation. Now that daylight is setting in, we're starting to get a clearer picture of what that scene looks like this morning. So police have now moved further into that encampment on campus. We're working to learn just exactly how many protesters have been taken into custody, but these are live pictures coming in from UCLA's campus. It appears a reporter is getting ready to do a report on the ground here. Here's another vantage point here. So CNN reports that dozens of those protesters have been arrested so far, and you can see kind of the mangled mess here of some of those tents that have been taken down. Those protesters that have been detained or arrested have been taken apparently to a bus that police staged in a parking lot roughly a mile away from this campus. What a scene there this morning. I want to show you this. This is some new video that just came across our feeds in the last 30 minutes or so. And this shows police taking some of those protesters away, some of them detained with their hands zip tied behind their backs. We're working to learn if anyone has been hurt in this ever-evolving situation this morning. And as we just showed you, and right here, police have been tearing down that encampment, taking those tents down. But obviously, they've been facing some resistance with those efforts. From the live desk, back to that breaking news I've been tracking all morning out of UCLA this morning. We've just learned in the past 30 minutes or so that officers have now taken control of that pro-Palestinian encampment nearly 3 hours after they were called in by campus leaders. This is a live picture coming in here. You noticed it was kind of moving around a little bit as the photographer gets a new position. So CNN is reporting the encampment has now been cleared and police are now processing all of those protesters they've now taken into custody over the past couple of hours, loading them into buses. There is a larger gathering of protesters at the perimeter of this camp. You can kind of see some of those off in the background there. Police have had a wall of officers standing between them and the camp. We're working to learn how many protesters have been arrested over the past couple of hours, and if anyone has been hurt, we'll update you on our website, KOMOnews.com, as those updates come in.